We all know Pachirisu. It won the 2014 World Championship by Seijin Park, and we have seen it a few times throughout the generation, mainly Seijin himself bringing it to the World Championship in Regulation G in 2024. But another world champion has recently brought it to an event, the biggest one in Regulation I, the North American International Championship, and was able to make day 2 at that event. So we're going to be trying out a recreation of Paul Reese's Pachirisu team and seeing how well it can perform. This is going to be my recreation of Paul Reese's Pachirisu team that I used to get day 2 at the North American International Championship in Regulation I. And if you would like to check out the original, make sure you go check out his modified class, which I'll link down below in the description. But otherwise, let's start and break down my recreation of the build. First up, we have the Leftovers Chestnut with the bulletproof ability that makes Chestnut immune to certain attacks known as the ball and bomb attacks with like Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Weather Ball, and more, with the Dark Terror type that is able to help out against Encore and Taunt from Prankster Mons, as well as be able to be immune to Psychic type attacks, and of course resist the Shadow Rider Astral Barrage and the Moongeist Beam from the Lunala, with the Body Press, Knockoff, Wide Guard, and Iron Defense. It's a very interesting version of Chestnut, and I know Paul has been trying out Chestnut a lot. I think he got top 8 at a regional with Chestnut before the event in Regulation I, and he did use it in Regulation G, I think, for a short bit. So it's interesting to see because a lot of the Chestnuts we commonly see, at least I know Jamie Boy is one of them. We saw Michael Zhang use it at the North American International Championship as well. They were all the Electric Seed variant, but since this team doesn't run a Miraidon, opting for the Leftovers instead, just to be able to heal itself and allow it to become maybe a bigger threat after gaining that recovery. With the EV spread of 228 HP, this gives it a number divisible by 16, a 60 defense with an impish nature, because I think you want to just go for the Iron Defense and get the +2 immediately, and the 220 special defense. This is just because I think that the Chestnut needs to be able to tank special hits as well immediately, while at least with the impish nature, the Body Press will do okay amount of damage while at neutral, but at +2 it will actually start doing damage. But I think the Miraidon needs special defense to be able to tank on a lot of the special hits, because you need several turns for the Chestnut to actually be able to set up. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. You have Knockoff to be able to get rid of items, and of course be able to hit and threaten the ghost types like the Shadow Rider and the Lunala, especially the Iron Defense is set up the Wide Guard to help support the team against the powerful spread moves, and of course the Body Press. It would also be crazy if Chestnut was just immune to Astral Barrage, because of like the idea of being immune to the bullet type attacks as it's described, but nope, that is not the case. It's interesting to see the Chestnut here. It's not as strong as like the immediate damage output you get from like Electric Seed or Grassy Seed, but it is able to do work if you give it some opportunity to set up. And of course that Wide Guard is very much appreciated, since this isn't a team that is running Zamazenta. Next up, we have the Clear Amulet Miraidon, preventing its stats from getting dropped from the opposing side with the ability to summon the sun and boost its physical attack damage output in that sun, with the Fire Terror type that is able to help out against super effective Ice and Fairy type moves, while also boosting up its own Fire type attacks with Flare Blitz, Collision Course, Flame Charge, and Protect. It's a pretty standard Miraidon on what to say. Clear Amulet, of course, just prevents any intimidates for the most part, and of course with that Flame Charge, it can boost its speed so it can outspeed the base 135s and be able to threaten the Calyx Shadow Rider after that Flame Charge with a very powerful Flare Blitz in the sun that is just able to do a ton of damage, and Collision Course for the attack because you don't want Miraidon to be frail or vulnerable after going for a close combat. The EV spread, this is my recreation with the 204 HP with the 196 attack with an Animate Nature that gives an extra stat point. I think you want to be able to dish out as much physical damage output as possible with the 4 defense, 36 special defense, and 68 speed. I think I saw some familiar benchmarks in the past. This allows it to outspeed, for instance, a Jolly max speed Urshifu. It's able to threaten a good amount of damage with its attack stat, and then the rest is just going to go into bulk. It is just a Miraidon that's able to do a ton of damage. Flame Charge is going to boost up its speed, and it has pretty good stay around ability because it has some pretty solid defenses. Next Pokemon we have is the Safety Goggles Incineroar to make it immune to the powder type moves and ignore the Rage Powder and Spore, especially with the Intimidate ability that's able to drop the attack stat of both Pokemon on the opposing side with the Bug Terror type, which is able to help out against Zamazenta Body Press while being a neutral type to Astral Barrage with Knockoff, Tom, Parting Shot, and Fake Out. So we have a supportive Incineroar here. Safety Goggles is an item we don't commonly see as much, but still always respecting the sleep powders, and of course the Amoonguss can be very helpful, especially. And otherwise, like, it's a pretty standard Incineroar. Otherwise, knockoff to get rid of items, Parting Shot for the ability to rotate, and Fake Out, of course, that can help build up for some setup. While the Taunt is the interesting move, and I guess it's just, you know, can never have too many answers to Amoonguss, but also be able to shut down like the Wide Guard and Trick Room options from Lunala and a bunch of other factors. So Taunt is just a very disruptive move in general to prevent like setup strategies. The EV spread, I imagine this recreation would have more special defense on the Incineroar, because I think otherwise the team kind of lacks a little bit of switching into Astral Barrage. So I think you would want to be able to switch into stuff like Lunala and the Calyx Shadow Rider especially. And yeah, so the EV spread I did go with is just a 252 HP, a 180 defense, and a 76 special defense with a Careful Nature to give an extra stat point of special defense. But you still want a good amount of physical defense to be able to absorb those physical attacks from the opposing side. Stuff like Xian Pao and more, you still want to be able to take those attacks pretty well for the most part. Stuff like Rillaboom, Woodhammer, and Grassy Glide as well. So still having a good balance of physical and special defense, but mainly has a bit more special defense than I'd say the typical Incineroar. Next Pokemon we have is the Focus Sash Xian Pao that allows it to live one powerful attack while at full HP with the Sword of Ruin that lowers the defense of all Pokemon on the field other than itself, with the Stellar Terra type that is able to boost up the power of its attacks with Ice Spinner, Sacred Sword, Sucker Punch, and Protect. Xian Pao, it is a good Pokemon that can enable more damage from the Miraidon, is able to help out against Dragon types, opposing Calyx Shadow Rider by threatening with Sucker Punch. So it can do quite a few roles. It is pretty nice. Base 135, I imagine, is going to be a Jolly Nature just to be able to outspeed most of the base 135s, or at least play a speed tie, especially against that Miraidon matchup, because the Ice Spinner before Miraidon can attack can be a huge difference in a calc, while the Sacred Sword that is able to hit or Pokemon like the Terapagos, any Pokemon that has Iron Defense, being able to threaten more damage into opposing Zamazenta can always be pleasant. And Sucker Punch to always threaten the Calyx Shadow Riders, the Lunalis, and of course Priority is just really good in general. And it's a very simple EV spread. I'm pretty sure it's always going to be running max speed on the Xian Pao to at least speed tie with the base 135s, especially to get an Ice Spinner off before Miraidon can attack. And it's just going to run with max attack and max speed with 4 defense. Next Pokemon is the interesting Mon with the Pachirisu with the Rocky Helmet for the item choice that's able to chip away at opponents that make contact with the Pachirisu with the Volt Absorb ability, which allows Pachirisu to be immune to the Electric type moves and even heal 25% when hit by one, and the Fairy Terra type, which is able to help out with the Miraidon, especially because it makes it immune to Draco Meteor. Volt Absorb makes it immune to electric type attacks and heal from it, so it's really hard for Miraidon to be able to touch Pachirisu, especially if they don't have the Dazzling Gleam set with its moveset of Follow Me, Helping Hand, Super Fang, and Protect. I'm very surprised there's actually no Nuzzle on the Pachirisu, because it would be very helpful, I think, against Calyx Shadow Rider mirrors. But I guess for consistency wise, the Follow Me, of course, is just always a move you're going to be using on Pachirisu. It's one of the best tools that it can have, especially to help out against Miraidon, because again, Fairy Terra type can help out with just being immune to the Draco Meteor. It can be able to redirect Zamazenta, Body Press, for instance. Helping Hand is able to just power up the attacks, especially from a boosted Calyx Shadow Rider or the Miraidon, or if you need the Xian Pao to do more damage, that Helping Hand can go a long way. Super Fang is able to chip away 50% of the Pokemon's current HP, so it can be really helpful at chipping Pokemon like Terapagos and just like tanky mons in general to put them in range of Shadow Rider attacks, which can be very nice because you can go for like Protect Super Fang into Helping Hand plus a big attack, and that could be massive. And that is pretty simple. The EV spread is going to be just max HP, 156 defense and 100 special defense with an Impish Nature, gives an extra defense point. And I do think it'd probably be physically defensive if you're running the Rocky Helmet version, because if you're running Rocky Helmet, you want to be able to tank attacks like the Urshifu Rapid Strike, the Body Press from these Zamazentas. So my recreation will have it, and I'm pretty sure like this has been a common Pachirisu spread, I think, for quite a while. So not really much to say about it otherwise. It's just supposed to be able to tank attacks, which is a big part, and just be able to absorb the attacks for Shadow Rider or the other Pokemon with that Follow Me support. And again, you're immune to Miraidon attacks other than Dazzling Gleam, but you already live one Dazzling Gleam with Terra Fairy, even from a Choice Specs Miraidon. So there's not really much need for extra special defense in that case. Finally, the Calyx Shadow Rider with the spell tag, which is able to power up its ghost type attacks with the as one ability with the fairy terror type, which is an interesting defensive typing, but it's just a really good neutral one, which it makes it resistant to dark type and fighting type attacks, while also just being able to boost up the power of its Draining Kiss. Especially as a weak move, it does power up to a base power 60 before adding the same type attack bonus. It has the Astral Barrage, Draining Kiss, Nasty Plot, and Protect. Nasty Plot, Astral Barrage, Protect, pretty standard moves, able to do a ton of damage to Astral Barrage, especially after a +2 special attack boost from the Nasty Plot. Draining Kiss is the interesting one because normally we see Psychic now on Calyx Shadow Rider, but Draining Kiss was a set that you would commonly see back in Regulation G, especially. It's fallen off a lot in Regulation I, mainly because of the pacing, because otherwise you would have normally ran Calm Mind with Draining Kiss on the Calyx Shadow Rider. But it's a really hard mon to set up, I think, in this kind of format where a lot of the things are able to dish out a ton of damage. It's really hard to set up a Calm Mind Calyx Shadow Rider now. So running Nasty Plot and the Draining Kiss, which can allow Shadow Rider for recovery, which is very helpful, but also be able to touch the Calyx Shadow Riders that are Terra Dark, especially if they have wide guards. So you can go for Draining Kiss into opposing Calyx Shadow Riders because a lot of the common Terra types involve Dark especially, so you're going to be able to hit them super effectively, which can be very helpful. EV spread wise, this is basically my Regulation G Calyx Shadow Rider Nasty Plot spread that I use for most of the events. I think the only difference was I had 4 in special defense and 8 in speed just to be able to speed creep base 136, but I think for the most part, like, Zacian's just vary so much in speed stats that doesn't really matter because you can't really outspeed Zacian unless you want to go max speed. And I wasn't sure the Calyx Shadow Rider should be max speed or not, because Draining Kiss Calyx Shadow Rider tends to have bulk, so you can be able to recover the HP, and you either have to choose between bulk or special attack in a lot of cases if you are running max speed, and it's really hard to find a good balance. So because of the tools that you have with Sucker Punch on the Xian Pal that can threaten a lot, the Wide Guard on the Chestnut, and of course you do have Miraidon to help threaten the opposing Shadow Riders, I just felt like I would get more value, I think, from trying out a non-max speed Shadow Rider. It might be a bit of a problem against opposing Shadow Rider, but I did want to at least test it, and I think it could make a lot of sense because I think Draining Kiss does really appreciate just having a good amount of bulk on the Shadow Rider just to be able to take attacks and then get multiple Nasty Plots up, and then Draining Kiss is just going to heal it all back. So it could be a double-edged sword, but we'll see how it goes. In the most case, it's only the opposing Zacians, which I don't think Zacian's too bad with Miraidon and Incineroar and Pachirisu that's physically defensive, as well as opposing Shadow Rider, which could be a problem still. We only have Wide Guard on the Chestnut, but we do have ways to force Terra on their Shadow Riders with knockoff from Incineroar and Xianpao Sucker Punch, and then Draining Kiss Calyx Shadow Rider can of course be oppressive. And of course, one thing the benefit is you're always going to be slower than opposing Shadow Rider, so they go for Astral Barrage, you take the hit, and then you heal back up with the recovery from Draining Kiss, which I think could also be like a pretty big deal, I think, in that kind of matchup. So this is the spread I went for. It is a pretty bulky one, which was able to live stuff like the Terra Water Starting Strikes from Urshifu and more. It was more designed, I think, when there wasn't Sun, but there is Sun on the Miraidon team, but it just has a really good amount of bulk. It still has a good amount of damage output because of the spell tag, boosting up the Astral Barrage initial damage output, so it can still do a decent amount of damage right off the bat. But most importantly, it is going to be bulky with that Nasty Plot setup. It's better with Rengar Clefairy, but I still think it could have potential, and the speed is able to outspeed the base 135s guaranteed. So how to use the team? I mean, there are quite a few different ways. You do have a few setup mods, of course, with the Chestnut and the Calyx Shadow Rider with Nasty Plot and Iron Defense. You do have the Miraidon that's able to set up a Flame Charge. You can play a more offensive game utilizing the Xian Pao plus the Miraidon. And of course, you do have ways that can just set up immediately with Incineroar leading to Miraidon to set up a fake out Flame Charge situation. You have the Calyx Shadow Rider plus Incineroar for the fake out plus Nasty Plot or just strong damage output immediately. You have the Pachirisu where you can go for mix-ups with like Follow Me Nasty Plot or Super Fang Protect and then Helping Hand into an attack. You have quite a few different methods there, and really I think it's just about setting up for the Shadow Rider, especially maybe going for Miraidon like early start for big damage output or setting up for it in the back. And yeah, you utilize the Pachirisu to be able to be, you know, a great redirector, especially into the Miraidon teams, because they can't click Volt Switch freely. They can go for Draco Meteor, but of course you do have that Fairy Terra on both the Calyx Shadow Rider and the Pachirisu, so it's really hard for Miraidon to be able to get the right move because they have to really think about their turns. And then you have, of course, good partners with Xian Pao and Incineroar. Xian Pao, good damage output, and Incineroar, Intimidate, fake out support. And of course, Miraidon can clean up things that Shadow Rider can't, while Chestnut can provide support, but also be a setup sweeper. And if you would like to check out the details of this recreation, it'll be down below in the description. I'm not sure how well I did on the EVs, but if you would like to check out the original EVs and more, you could check out Paul Reese's class that he did on Metafy, I believe, which he was going over the team and how to utilize the team, and I think he has a rental code on the team as well. So I'll provide the details to that down below in the description. Make sure you go check it out, especially if you're interested in using the team, or if you want to learn more about the team. I'll make sure to link it down below in the description. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is one of the coolest Pokemon that has won a VGC event? I think Pachirisu, of course, is a big Pokemon staple that has been able to win the World Championship. It was a really big call, and yeah, it was super impressive watching Sajin. It's an inspiring worlds when I think other Pokemon that I think have had chances. I think one of my personal favorites have been Excelgor, especially because I was able to get top 4 at a regional into winning a international with Excelgor, which was really cool with the Unburden. And I really like seeing these like Pokemon that we don't commonly see often have a really cool niche role and is able to really benefit some teams. So let me know what yours are down below in the comments, but otherwise let's get started and play some games. Miraidon, Volcarona, Lunala, Rillaboom, Incineroar, and Pelipper. Okay, this is definitely one of those teams where it is the calm mind Lunala for sure. Gonna be a bit scared to deal with this stuff. Gonna be a bit scared to deal with this. Yeah, it's tricky. I can't really bring my... At least I think it should be calm mind Lunala on this team. Like, this team screams it to me. I think I go with like Calyx Shadow Rider lead to put on the offensive pressure immediately with a nasty plot. The question is like how the rest is going to prepare. I'm really glad I'm Terra Fairy in this matchup because Terra Fairy is better than Terra Dark when it's usually Terra Fairy on their Lunalas. Probably Incineroar, Pachirisu, Miraidon, because I need strong physical hits off into the Lunala. Let's see if this works, because it is a bit of a tricky matchup. I don't want to lead my Patchy immediately. I'll risk this being Covert Cloak on the Miraidon. We're gonna see Wolf's Incineroar and the Lunala. Sure, that's fine. It can KO my Calyx immediately. I really don't think this is Meteor Beam Lunala. Like, I'd say the chances are just very low. Incineroar is faster, which is fine. I'm just gonna go for my Terra Fairy nasty plot, and I'm just gonna go for a knockoff to get rid of leftovers potentially and break that Shadow Shield. They could go for a Terra Read, which is fine. I could also go for the Terra Read and fake out their Lunala. I just don't think... I think I'd rather get the knockoff realistically. So we'll see. I think it's just safe to play this with Calyx Shadow Rider. Terra Fairy is a pretty neutral Terra in this matchup, and the only thing I'm losing is the Terra Fire potential on Miraidon, so I could blow up the Lunala. But I don't know what Terra the Lunala is. Okay, if they protect too, that actually works out massive because I get a free nasty plot off as well. So they gave me a free nasty plot, which is really huge. I'm curious on what they're going for with the instant parting shot. Parting shot. Okay. Parting shot is fine. I'm +1 and I'm still in a pretty good offensive position. Is this Miraidon? Yeah. Are you Electric Seed? Probably not, I'd assume. Yeah, it's not. Okay. So it's probably lefties. I'm going to go for Protect and I'm going to Parting Shot with my Incin. I could go to hard Patchy to be a safer route, but I think I really want the Parting Shot off in the Lunala. And I feel like if you ever Draco Meteor, well, if you Draco Meteor, then it's weird, right? Because then you're Draco Meteoring against a Calyx Shadow Rider with Fairy Terrace. I don't think you ever do. We are going to see the Terra from the Lunala going to be the Terra Fairy. I imagine you try to start taking down the Shadow Rider, but we'll see. As we protect our Shadow Rider. Snarl. Okay. That's good info to have. That's very good info to have. Go for Snarl. Get a crit, doesn't matter. Or hopefully it doesn't matter for the long term. They do go for Calm Mind, perfect. And because they terrestrialize, I can actually go out into Patchy and I can go for Super Fang into the Lunala and do 50%, which is kind of massive. All right, so not a bad start, not a bad start. I could also Super Fang the Miraidon, and I am kind of tempted to actually. I am kind of tempted to Super Fang the Miraidon. You know what? I think I will. I think I'm gonna go for my Nasty Plot first and Super Fang. I guess we don't know the item on the Miraidon confirmed because we didn't see its speed interact. Oh, it's Scarf. Okay, so that makes it easier to find out. So, I mean, I get back to Nasty Plot range, then I can threaten Super Fang. I mean, yeah, this is fine. I go for Moongeist Beam into my Calyrex. Does a lot of damage, but I'm chilling. We're gonna see a Super Fang into the Miraidon. I'm only +2. I think they should always switch to Instant. I think my play is just a Nasty Plot and Follow Me though. Yeah, Follow Me Nasty Plot's fine here. Okay, they stay in the Snarl again, which is cool. All right. I gotta think about this a little bit cautiously though. As they go for Moongeist Beam. Does that KO Patchy or does Patchy hang on? Patchy does go down. Okay. I think we go Miraidon. I do think we go Miraidon now. I think it's very likely that they switch into Pelipper if they have it in Moongeist Beam. They could also go Instant, which is fine too. I'm gonna Draining Kiss the Miraidon, and I think I'm gonna double out an Instant. Yeah, no, that works. Because I think the Miraidon would want to be kept around, because now the Pachirisu's gone, you can go for like a Scarf cleanup endgame. So I think you would always want to retreat. I think you probably have Pelipper in the back for the Miraidon specifically. So I imagine you go into Pelipper now, and then I'd be able to get the Draining Kiss off. Yeah, Miraidon switches out, so you want to save it in the back as a revenge KO'er. We're gonna see Incineroar come in. Okay, so I could have went for Astral Flare Blitz, but they also might just protect the Lunala, which is fine. Ideally they do, because I could technically just Astral Flare Blitz, and I think their lives I think the Lunala would go down to that, so I don't think you should ever risk it here. Yes, perfect. Okay, I guess like Nasty Plot would have been nice, but I still get a lot of recovery off this. Yeah, that's a good amount of recovery. That's a good amount of recovery. Beautiful. Electric terrain disappears from the battlefield, so I gotta watch out about it getting reset later. All right. +3 Shadow Rider. I don't want to just go for Draining Kiss and fake out into the Lunala. Because I get recovery, and I don't want to KO the Instant yet if they decide to fake out. Yeah, we're going to trade fake outs, which is fine. Perfect. Leftovers, all right. Are you going to protect the Lunala this time? I like the idea of protect and taunt potentially. It's just if they parting shot my Calyx, it gets a bit weird. Actually, no, I'd parting shot here, right? Yeah, I would parting shot here. Oh, instant or hard retreated. Wait, what are you risking here? Don't tell me it's okay, Volcarona. So it's not. That changes a lot actually because it's Volcarona. Okay. As they went for Moongeist Beam. That is massive. Okay, I thought it was Pelipper back this entire time, but this Volcarona makes it so much easier. Does I get a parting shot off? Now the Lunala's at -1 special attack. Like I need fake out pressure. Do I need fake out pressure actually? I want to go Miraidon. Let me see here. I've gotten good chip on the Miraidon. The instant's low. I think my play is just to Astral here and just swap to instant again. Yeah, no, this works. Because then I could just go for Astral, fake out the following turns. Yeah, no, this works. This does work. Okay. Because if they decide to swap in this turn, it's fine. If they decide to double protect, I can reposition. So I don't think this is that bad. I'm getting some pretty strong hits off with Astral Barrages, and the Lunala is not really doing much damage. They go for Rage Powder. Okay. Cover for Draining Kiss. That's acceptable. I did go for Astral this time. I'll get a ton of damage. Yeah, I'll KO the Volcarona. Beautiful damage into the Lunala. This is looking amazing here. This is looking pretty amazing for me. Okay. As they go for Moonblast into the Miraidon. Nice. Beautiful. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I am feeling pretty good about this. The Scarf Miraidon can't really do too much. They're going to go back to Instant. I'm just going to Astral Barrage. We're going to Astral Barrage. We're going to Parting Shot. Yeah, because they might make the Miraidon play and fake out the Calyx. Exactly. I had a feeling that they could make this play, so that's why I did what I did here. Okay, perfect. That's why I didn't protect the Calyx at all. It's still a bit of a mind game. I think my Calyx is gonna live Electro Drift. I mean, the Parting Shot makes a big deal out of the calc. We go Miraidon now. I mean, no, I think I just protect my Calyx. Unfortunately, I don't have a safe guaranteed play here, I think, because Electro Drift, if it KOs Calyx, changes it. Unless Collision Course knocks out Miraidon here, which maybe it does. I'm worried if they switch out Miraidon into Lunala and Parting Shot, though. Well, actually, they can't make that play, right? A Parting Shot and not U-turn. Yeah, it was Parting Shot, so they can't U-turn. Okay, no, this is fine. Go for Collision Course. Because they can't Parting Shot with the clear amulets on my Miraidon. So this actually works out. We're going to see Lunala come in. Fine. All right, let's see. They drop a Draco. Wait, what? They made a wild play, or they expected my instant? I don't know what that play was. I'm going to be real. If you Draco my Miraidon, that's fine, because then next turn I just threaten an Astral Barrage. And then I think I have to win a 50-50 against a Miraidon on the Electro Drift target, because I can go for Protect Knockoff, or I could go for Astral. That play didn't make much sense, though. Yeah, that play didn't make much sense. Now I can guarantee win the game by going instant and protecting. Because if they go on the offense, then it doesn't matter because Miraidon next to Shadow Rider will click Astral Barrage Flare Blitz and I guarantee win. If they decide to call Mind, I just fake out Draining Kiss the next turn into just Astral Barrage Parting Shot, and then yeah, the Lunala is just screwed. Oh wait, it doesn't really matter if I fail to double protect. Okay. Doesn't really matter, but that was stupid. That was stupid. But I should be fine regardless. Yeah, they made the aggressive player targeting the instant. They even crit the instant, which might have mattered actually, but I mean it's the same concept, right? I still get in Miraidon, I click Astral Barrage Flare Blitz. They don't have Wide Guard on the Lunala, like it's a wrap. I'm surprised they didn't go for the crit on the Shadow Rider if I couldn't go for a double attack. If they crit, I don't think it changes much. I think it just depends on how much Flare Blitz does to Lunala. Yeah, a bit of a dumb endgame mistake, but yeah, we still win with Flare Blitz plus Astral Barrage. There's not much they can do here, so whew, okay. Guard Miraidon a little bit tricky when I don't have a real boom, and I did lose Patchy a bit early, but the fact is I was able to get all those nasty plots with Shadow Rider counter the Snarls, and then I was actually able to get some really good healing with the Draining Kiss was massive. Here comes Astral Barrage, take the knockout onto both. Yep. And that is a wrap. So all right, not the cleanest end game, but I still feel pretty proud of like some of the reads I did, especially like catching the Draining Kiss healing, especially, which was pretty massive. Volks being in the back was just a surprising one. I really thought it'd be Pelipper because I thought they were going to try to play a defensive game to where Lunala couldn't get threat to my Flare Blitz, because I think that was a big one, because that was my massive amount of physical damage output was through that. But because they didn't Pelipper, it actually changed a lot. All right, we have the Miraidon, Ursaluna, Urshifu with Lunala, Incineroar, and Whimsicott. Pretty standard team. A lot of sets that could go wrong here, so I gotta be cautious. The Terra Fairy Lunala is so bad for this team, I think. How do you get through that? I'm trying to think of how you get through that combo, because the Ursaluna is pretty bad. Yeah, this is not gonna be great. All right, we're gonna lead Calyx plus Incineroar. I think it's probably one of my best leads here. I think Chestnut doesn't do anything. It's probably Miraidon and Patchy. Oh, I think the problem is they're probably going to go with like Miraidon, Lunala, Incineroar, Ursaluna, and it's going to be a pretty rough time. I'm already imagining like them getting Trick 'em up because it's really hard for me to deny it, and then getting Ursaluna in, and then I think it's really tough to manage it, so we'll see. Miraidon Incin. Okay, so this is probably one of the better leads here for me, I guess. Are you gonna Draco? Or are you gonna Gleam immediately? We'll find out. We'll find out. So it should be a Solvest Incin usually on the teams, which is pretty manageable. My best play is just to protect Callie and swap to Patchy, because unless you Draco Meteor immediately, I should be fine. So let's see if you make the crazy hard read. I also debated about switching in Patchy for the Shadow Rider slot and going for Parting Shot, but it doesn't really save the instant slot from getting hit by a Draco Meteor, so I don't think it changes that much. They have a lot of plays they could go for. I do need a nasty plot set up. I think I want to deny Terra as much as possible. Oh, they go hard Ursa. I think they went hard Ursaluna. That is Ursaluna. Yep. All right, this is what makes it annoying, this matchup. I'm assuming they faked out the slot then, which I guess is acceptable. Okay, a U-turn, a Shadow Rider. Okay, not as bad, not as bad. Could have been way worse. You can't Earthquake in this position. You can only Headlong. So this is my This is my one opportunity to get a nasty plot off. And we're gonna follow me. This could be facade. I think this might be facade U-turn. So I could have went for a crazy hard read to protect, but if they headlong rush to Cali slot, I'm just absolutely screwed. So we're gonna nasty plot here. As a U-turn, they're probably bringing what do you bring Miraidon, or would you bring in the Lunala? I think Lunala makes more sense, but we'll see. It is Lunala, yep. Okay. All right, I have a line here, I think. Is this facade or headlong rush? Headlong rush would be ideal. Perfect. Okay. They take Rocky helmet damage and they're -1 special attack, so that's good. I have to be very cautious though, because this game's already super tricky to maneuver. But I think I do actually have options. Now my best play is to go out into Ensign. And we click protect and taunt the Lunala so they can't get Trick Room up. And because they can't get Trick Room up, then or Wide Guard, then I can actually threaten the Astral Barrage. We go for taunt and we go for a protect. And because the Ursaluna has taken some chip, plus the fact that it's -1 special defense right now, I'm hoping that if I Terra Fairy, the Draining Kiss can knock out, but we'll see. I will always go for taunt here because it's my safest play. They could go Ensign for the Lunala again, but I think that's fine. They lose their Electric Seed boost. We're gonna see the Terrestrialization. This is probably Terra Fairy on the Lunala, which is massive. Perfect. Okay. That's good. That's good. Because we protect Shadow Rider and taunt. All right, Lunala can't Wide Guard or Trick Room, and we're in a decent spot. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Really good turn. I don't know if we KO the Ursaluna. That's my one question. But you know what? We have to go for it. We're going to go for Draining Kiss. And we go for Knockoff. The Lunala is still scary in the end game, but I still think I'm in a pretty decent spot. Because if they protect to stall out, I can still Draining Kiss my recovery back. So that's not even that big of a deal. The Terra Fairy is going to be a good defensive type here. If I get one more boost, I KO the Miraidon guaranteed with Astral or Draining Kiss. So I think it depends on how much damage this Lunala is going to be able to actually do with a Moongeist Beam / a Moonblast. But we will Terra Fairy here. Let's see what their option is. Nice. They don't protect, which is massive. So I do get the Draining Kiss off. Ooh, I do KO the Lunala or the Ursaluna. That's massive. Okay, so getting rid of the Ursaluna is great. That means I don't have to worry about like Trick Room Bear sweep or switching into a Facade. You go for Moonblast to cover for Terra Dark, I imagine. Yeah. A crit. No special attack drop though. Okay. The crit's actually bad though, but I think it's acceptable. Ensign? Yep. It's fine. The Lunala is taunted for one more turn. Yes. So we're gonna go for Protect with Shadow Rider. I'm trying to think of what guarantees here. I think we parting shot the Lunala and protect here. I'm trying to get Miraidon. The thing is, I think the fake out's just so obvious into the instant slot. Okay. They just go for Moonblast. No fake out. That's actually kind of massive. Wait, that is huge for me, actually. That is huge for me. Okay. Because isn't this the last turn of electric terrain? I feel like it is. So they bring out Miraidon as I get a parting shot off into Lunala, so the damage is a lot limited. I kind of wish I didn't get crit. I'm not gonna lie, because if I didn't get crit, I think this was way safer. But you know what? We'll have to take it. So we're gonna go into Miraidon. The sun is now up, and electric train fades. Right? I'm pretty sure it's been 5 turns. All wears off. Yeah, electric train disappears. Exactly. So now I can go for Draining Kiss and a Flare Blitz, I think. They go Instant. They're taking a Draining Kiss. I get a bunch of recovery. I get the Flare Blitz. Then I could go for Fake Out Draining Kiss the next turn to Miraidon. Yeah, this seems fine. Yeah, because if they switch out of Miraidon into Instant, I think this still works out for me. I think I KO Instant with the combo of the Draining Kiss. And because of all the recovery and the fact that Lunala's at -1, I should be able to tank the attacks just fine. And if they Trick Room, I'm in a good spot too. So here comes Draining Kiss. I didn't Astral there because of the threat of potential Wide Guard if they want to play that mind game. The recovery. Probably should KO Instant, especially Assault Vest Instant. Yeah. Because they usually run like a lot of speed on these teams. So Instant goes down. Perfect. As the Lunala is going to go for a Trick Room. Okay, yeah, this is exactly what we set up to do. Okay. We are set up nicely. I think. I mean, there's ways that they could play around this. I think we Flare Blitz the Lunala and we protect the Shadow Rider. Let's see what they decide to go for. They Moonblast. Okay. No, I think I win here then. Because the thing that I was worried about, because I protect the Shadow Rider, since they KO the Miraidon, I get Instant in. I go for Fake Out into Draining Kiss to Miraidon slot the next turn. And assuming it doesn't have Protect or it's Covert Cloak, I should win this game because usually they're choice specs. So I should be able to heal off the Miraidon, and then I'd be able to just pummel the Lunala because, again, the Lunala is at -1 special attack because of the parting shot we went for earlier in the game. My only concern was if they doubled the Shadow Rider and Miraidon was out on the field, then it got awkward. So I would have had to call that, and I would have had to go on Instant on the switch to the Miraidon. So I did get that mind game right, thankfully. I go for a Draining Kiss and I go for a Fake Out. Please don't be some Covert Cloak on this build. It really shouldn't be. They go for Moonblast. I'm going for the Shadow Rider. No crit, thankfully. Nice. Okay. And then Draining Kiss will come out. We'll heal off the Miraidon. We'll take the knock on the Miraidon. Get a special attack boost. Game over. Because Shadow Rider is back to full, and I don't think Crit Moongeist Beam KOs me at this point. Oh man, thank goodness. Thank goodness. All right, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. Position that was really awkward, but thankfully, Taunt on the Instant came in super clutch there. If I didn't have Taunt on Instant, the Trick Room and Bear would have been very hard to stop, and that's why I kind of set up the scenario I did. Go for Taunt and Astral. Oh wait, why did I Taunt? I should have Parting Shot. I mean, it doesn't matter because as long as I don't get crit. I mean, the crit, I mean, it doesn't change anything, right? It's -1 special attack Lunala. It can't KO my Shadow Rider. If it crits, that's the only way, but I think Crit Moonblast doesn't. I think you have to go for Moongeist Beam because Moongeist Beam has just very slightly more powerful, but don't get crit. We do get the KO onto the Lunala. I don't think crit was knocking out my Shadow Rider full. Good game. Okay. Hard one, but our steps were perfect. Denied the Trick Room. The Bear got in a bit more free than I thought, and I didn't get to use it as much as the Pachirisu as I would have liked. But the fact that Pachirisu just you know, trooped itself to take the headlong rush for the team just allowed my team to actually set up. And the fact I didn't go for headlong rush into my Ensign on the protect turn on Shadow Rider made it so much easier as well. I had to double check to see if this was a rematch. Okay, it's Whimsicott, Miraidon, Incineroar, Lunala, Urshifu, and Ursaluna. Luckily, it's the same game plan, but I think this matchup is always just so read heavy, which is annoying. I mean, I do think it's just Calyx, Shadow Rider, Ensign. Again, it's a lot about getting the Miraidon turns right. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to bring Koraidon and I'm going to bring the Pachirisu. I still think the 4 that they should bring is probably Miraidon, Incineroar, Ursaluna, and Lunala. I don't think Ursh is ever brought here because Ursh is really not good here. And Whimsicott, I mean, I could see it, I suppose. I could see it, but I think it's unlikely. I think it's just Miraidon and Ursaluna are just so strong, and the Lunala is just going to be annoying because it's really hard to get rid of Lunala with this team. At least with terrestrialization. So let's see what we can do. I just can't let the Ursaluna get in for free. That's the big one. That's the big question. Daily Lunala plus Miraidon. Oh boy. Oh boy. Are you gonna go to bear? Immediately. This fake out could be super obvious. Am I willing to risk this game immediately? Because I can go for Astral and I can go for Knock. They're not gonna Moongeist Beam, they're gonna Trick Room. If they send in the bear. Yeah, I'm just gonna Astral and I'm just gonna Knock. I'm reading a hard switch from Miraidon into Ursaluna, and I'm hoping I get this right. If they Volt Switch, it's awkward, but okay. Promising. Incineroar. Okay, I didn't get the bear. I don't think that's a bad trade-off, though. Do you Moongeist Beam or do you Trick Room here? If I get Moongeist Beam, I'm actually in a lot of trouble. Maybe I should have Terra Fairy'd, but I didn't. I want to greed this as much as possible because having the ability to not have the bear click Facade and go for Headlong Rush is pretty ideal. But Astral Barrage, we will break the Shadow Shield on the Lunala. I am not a fan of this. You got a knock off, but it doesn't matter. I think I'm just losing at this point. Probably. It's looking pretty rough. Because I do not have... I mean, if I position this correctly, I have to get so many turns right, though. I have to get so many turns right starting now. Instant retreating. Miraidon? Whimsicott. They didn't bring the bear? I'm shocked they didn't bring the bear. I mean, this is fine. Wait, hold on. If they don't have the bear, I don't have to worry about the Trick Room stuff. This is a lot easier to deal with because I went for parting. Okay. And I can bring Pachirisu in. I can get Super Fang. The problem is the damage Dazzling Gleam is going to be a ton of damage. Otherwise, I think it's okay for now. How fast do I want to gamble on the Whimsicott being? Do I want to gamble that I'm faster with my Koraidon? I just don't have much speed, so I kind of doubt it, even if it's bulky. I think my play is just to Flame Charge and follow me. Yeah. Okay, we can play out of this. It's tough, but we can play out of this. The bear under Trick Room would have probably just ended the game, so we'll see. Whimsicott's a lot less scary than the bear was. Definitely a lot less scary than the bear was. There's no reason to target the Lunala because I don't have like Flare Blitz in the sun's not going to KO Electric Seed. It didn't switch back to Instant for the Whimsicott, so this is good. They might have Encore or Moonblast. A Moonblast, okay. Actually hangs on pretty fine. We get the Flame Charge. Ooh, not enough. I thought Sun Boosted would KO, but that's all right. They go for Moongeist Beam into the Patchy. That's fine. Okay. I think out of any Terra, I have to go for the Terrifier now. I guess it's like Flare Blitz the Lunala and go back to Instant. No, this is okay. The Miraidon's still going to be tricky, but I think as long as I don't take too much damage with Miraidon, I can win. It's like they don't have any collision core switches for the left slot right now. And I'm about to two-shot the Lunala with Flare Blitz. So Instant around gets an Intimidated off. Doesn't matter. Oh, this is an Endeavor Whimsicott, but they usually don't run Endeavor Whimsicott. Are you gonna Flame Charge? I highly doubt you Encore to Flame Charge. But we will Terrifier. He Encored my Patchy? Okay. That works. I get the Flare Blitz off. That's huge damage. Yeah, as I said, it wasn't gonna two-shot. I get the burn. Wait, that burn's kind of nice. That burn's actually kind of nice. A Trick Room. All right. This is such an interesting spot. I want to knock off Collision Course the Whimsicott. Actually, no, I'd fake out. I would fake out Collision Course. Yeah, fake out Collision Course is correct. The upcoming turns are super scuffed. We do get the KO on a Whimsicott. I guess the burn doesn't really matter because the Collision Course would knock out. I mean, yeah, and I wasn't going to protect in this scenario because I want to save to protect for when there's a... when they have their targets. Okay, so we're going to see the attack into the Incineroar as we do get the Collision Course off. Into the Miraidon, okay. You're gonna lock. What are you locking in with Miraidon? Draco or Electro Drift? Because if you Electro Drift poorly, it's really bad for you. All right, this is huge. This is gonna be huge. That's our Sunlight. I think I'm thinking about the play of switching to Patchy and going for a parting shot here into the Miraidon. Let me see if it's gonna work. I don't know if you're gonna target down the Instant slot or if you're targeting down the Miraidon slot because there's a bunch of mind games involved. Like I could protect going to go for parting, but let's see. They go for fake out an Instant. That's fine. If I switch in Patchy on that one, I was good. I greeted the parting, man. Oh wait. Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, this is so awkward now. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Who's faster, the Miraidon or the Instant? I just realized that. I think Miraidon should be slower than the Miraidon. Oh, please. Okay, I protect the Patchy and I Collision Course the Instant. If I KO the Instant, then that means Patchy beats the Miraidon because they're locked into Electro Drift. They have to go for the target into Patchy. Please be slower. Okay. We KO the Instant. And now Miraidon is left alone. And they're gonna go for Electro Drift. Yep. You should be choiced. If you're not choiced, the team has changed. Based on the damage, I really think it should be choiced. Is Patchy gonna take us home? Is Pachirisu gonna take us home? Please. Be Super Fang. Multiple times. Oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. I thought it was over. I thought it was over. Battle gonna be forfeited. Pachirisu just solos the Miraidon locked into electric move. That's why I was like debating. Are they gonna lock in the Draco as the last move? But the thing about locking the Draco is just it's really awkward endgame wise. But I think Draco was probably the one that gave them the better out. But because they locked into an electric move, if I just switched out the instant into Apache and protected, because I thought that was the obvious play. So I thought they were gonna go for like I thought they were gonna electric drift the Miraidon and maybe just attempt to go for a flare blitz into the instant slot or fake out. So that's why I really didn't think they were gonna double my instant slot there with the electric drift. But I mean, it worked out because my Miraidon's slow, so I could actually go for a collision course into the instant. And as long as Patchy was around against the locked in Miraidon, it was a wrap. All right, we have Miraidon, Terapagos, Volcarona, Incineroar, Landorus Incarnate, and the Ditto. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a strange one. All right, so how am I approaching this one? Terapagos plus Miraidon, but a completely different build. Like Miraidon's good, Qianpao is decent. I think I definitely bring Pachirisu for the Miraidon and then Shadow Rider probably to break through stuff. Yes. Just trying to figure out the order here. I think it might be Qianpao plus Shadow Rider. It's a weird lead, but Ice Spinner plus Astral Barrage is pretty threatening into the Miraidon stuff. And Miraidon back. It's a tricky one. They got scary stuff like Ditto, which means I have to play cautiously with setup Calyrex. I don't even know if this is going to be actually, would it be Calm Mind Terapagos? It could be Meteor Beam. Volcarona Terapagos. Wasn't there a VR tour recently that... I mean, I don't remember the exact build, but I don't think it had Ditto. Alright, we're gonna see the Volcarona plus the Terapagos lead, which is fine. I think. This could go poorly. This could go very poorly. There's no reason to go Patchy. I think I want to save Miraidon for later. I think it's just protect the Qianpao and nasty plot. It's a very risky turn one. But I think I'm willing to go for it. Don't be Specs. Don't be Specs Dark Pulse. Don't be Specs Dark Pulse. Volcarona gonna retreat. Okay. Is this a Ditto? Oh, instant. Okay. Works. I don't think they ever tear the Terapagos here. Yeah. What are you going for? Is this actually Calm Mind stuff? As we protect the Qianpao, get the nasty plot set up. Oh, it is Calm Mind. Okay, so it's probably not Meteor Beam. Then I don't have to worry about that. It's still going to be tricky. Do I risk my POW ever? What's the last? Is it Miraidon? I can't tell who the last one is. I don't think it's Lando. If it's Ditto, Qianpao has value. The play is always to go hard Miraidon anyway and protect. Even though I'm risking Miraidon on fake out Starstorm, like it won't KO. And I need to threaten the Incineroar, which is kind of massive, because if I don't threaten Incineroar, it gets pretty ugly. Some of the cows get ugly. But this Terapagos is going to be pretty big a nuisance. Bring out the Miraidon. They probably just fake out and Starstorm the slot, but I can't risk them knockoffing my Calyx. Oh, they Terra immediately, which is fine for me. I don't mind them activating the Terra. Sure. The Terra makes this easier because that means I don't have to worry about... Because I can Collision Course the Instant the next turn. Okay. Fake out in the POW. Yep. Starstorm? Yeah, okay. That's fine. Didn't even do that much to Miraidon. Do I live another? That's a question mark. The Ditto is the big one that's concerning me. I could go for Collision Course, swap to Incin, or swap to Qianpao. I think I always Collision Course the Incin. The only problem is I don't know what I'm doing with you. I think I nasty plot again. They already Terra, so I don't have to worry about Terra on the Ditto. I'm just worried if it's Sash Ditto. Like Sash Ditto actually messes up a lot of my plans, but we'll see. I think their safest play is probably to go Volcarona and protect the Terapagos. Because it covers for the Qianpao swap to... Oh, they go hard Miraidon. Interesting. Sure. I might have to play aggressive the next couple turns. Oh, it's Electricity. That's why. Okay. It's kind of weird seeing Electricity Terapagos without the what's it called? Why am I blanking on my words? It's weird to see it without like Sinistra, but all right. We do get Collision Course off into Miraidon. You get a crit. I actually don't know if I like that crit because the crit actually puts it in a weird spot. I'm gonna go Pachirisu. I think I'm gonna risk a Draining Kiss into Miraidon. Are you Scarf? We'll find out. I think if they are Scarf, they are gonna target down my Miraidon slot, but we'll see. Okay, they're not Scarf. I got the Draining Kiss off. That's massive. Huge. Okay, I don't hate this position. I'm actually in a pretty good spot, I'd say. They go for Starstorm again. Perfect. All right, this is gonna do a lot to my Patchy. Does a lot to my Calyx too. I'll live it if I go for the next Draining Kiss, but a bit weird. Volcarona should always come in. Insane. What? Can I KO the Insane with Helping Hand Draining Kiss? Because I will always go for that play if I have that access to. I think I do. I think I'm going to go for Helping Hand Draining Kiss. It's +5. Yeah, and I'll get enough recovery to live Starstorm. The question is, does Instant switch out to Volcarona? Which is kind of fine too. As long as I get the damage to Instant, I think I'm in a good spot. Let's see. Draining Kiss. Oh, just barely missed a knockout, man. Starstorm knockoff coming in. If they parting shot though, I'm in a good position. Oh, the Instant lived. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. gonna be real. I think the game is over. I think the game is over. I might have one out. I might have one out though. I'm gonna go for Sacred Sword and I'm gonna go for Flare Blitz. Their play should always be to, well, if they Starstorm here, I lose, but I think they're just gonna protect, switch into Volk, or either that or protect sack Instant, and then it's a mind game. Yeah, okay. That's always correct, I think. Was the Volk helmet? If we live the Flare Blitz recoil, we have a pretty okay chance. It's not super ideal, but it's possible. It depends on how much Sacred Sword does, because if Stellar Terra Sacred Sword at -1 plus another Sacred Sword KOs the Terapagos, we have a chance. They do protect. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Sacred Sword gonna go into the protect. And Flare Blitz. Well, Corona goes down. Oh, we had to dodge the Flame Body too. No. Okay, no, wait, it was helmet. I was going down to the recoil. Okay, okay. I have one out. Crit the Terapagos with Stellar Terra Sacred Sword and hope that KOs. Yeah. That is the out. So we will protect our Chien Pao. And then I think we Ice Spinner the Instant, because if they protect the Pagos for no reason, then I have an out. Because we know it's not helmet Instant. Fake out into the Starstorm. I mean, Calm Mind doesn't change anything. The position is the same. It's like just going to come down to... The thing is, I don't even think Sacred Sword, Stellar Terra crit KOs Pagos, but yeah. Ice Spinner with the Stellar Terra will KO the Instant though, and then we could Sacred Sword the Pagos. If they throw this away by going for a Protect for no reason, like, I would be mad. But Ice Spinner going to come out into the Instant, take the knockout. We know it's not helmet, so my sash is intact. And then let's see how much Stellar Terra Sacred Sword can, and if we can get the crit, and if the crit can even KO Pagos, because I have no clue if it would. Oh, if I just went for the Terra Fairy Draining Kiss instead, we would be in a massive spot. I was worried that they double on the Volk. That's the only reason why I was scared of that position. All right, Chien Pao, do you want this that badly? You do not. Based on the damage, I don't think crit was KOing anyway. Oh, it was just go for, because if I go for a Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam, I think, or Terra Fairy Helping Hand Raining Kiss, I think I'm in a good spot. I mean, then again, I would go down to the Starstorm with my Calyrex, and because I go down with Calyrex and Patchy, like, Volcarona's in, but if Volcarona has Protect, it's still a weird game. It's Flare Blitz into the Volcarona slot. I still go down to recoil. I do still have neutral Sacred Sword, so if 2 neutral Sacred Swords KO the Pagos, because again ignores defense boost but it's not boosted by the Sword of Ruin, there might be a chance. Although I'm gonna be real, I actually have no idea that was even a guaranteed win at that point, so I might have had to play smarter and just sack my Pachirisu, maybe have gone for Protect, then go for like Collision Course afterward. It's a weird spot to maneuver. I'd have to think about like all the different ways you can maneuver, but I think it was still tough. I do think it was still tough. And I don't think the Terra Fairy actually saved it. I think I needed the KO, but I did not. All right, we have Kyogre, Zacian, Chien Pao, Dragonite, Tornadus, and Landis Incarnate. Actually funny because I'm pretty sure that I played this. I'm like pretty sure I played this. I am pretty confident I played this because, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did this as a practice match. where they had Terra Normal Zacian. I'm pretty sure I won because I made some good reads against the Terra Normal Zacian. It's Scarf Kyogre too, so I gotta keep that in mind. Okay. So I'm gonna lead Calyx Shadow out of Pachirisu, which I actually think is like an okay lead here, because if they lead, I mean, I don't expect them to lead the same thing, but if they lead Torn Lando again for some reason, I'm in a good spot. I'm just gonna lead the Shadow Ride. I'm gonna lead the Shadow Ride of Pachirisu, and have Koraidon on the back with my Chien Pao, because I need Chien Pao for the priority, and I need my Koraidon for the Sun. So I'm kind of curious on what they're going to lead this time, because the Lando Torn wasn't a great lead here last time. They lead again, which is fine, as I have a plan for this scenario specifically. I'm just going to go for Helping Hand and Astral Barrage, and I'm going to take my KOs. If I get a double knockout, I'm in a good spot. I have no idea if the Torn is Sash though, so I guess that's like one thing. But I'm just going to go for Helping Hand plus... Yeah, I'm just going to go for Helping Hand plus Astral. Do as much damage as I possibly can to both of these Pokemon, because I did look at the damage and I was going to KO last time because I led Chien Pao with Shadow Rider last time. So we are going to see the Tailwind come out, which is not too surprising. We're going to see Sandsear and a miss because they're using it outside of rain. And Patchy is the one that dodges, which is beautiful, as I do get the Helping Hand Astral Barrage off with Spell Tag boost. So this should knock out both. Yeah, and I think that's curtains. I think that's curtains. Okay, it's not over yet, but like, that's such a huge lead. That is actually such a huge lead. Okay. So I gotta figure out how to properly set this up. I think I know how. But I do double protect to sell out a turn of Tailwind and Scout. They could be Swords Dance, I suppose, on the Zacian, because I never found that out. But I think it's pretty hard for them to do much. Let's double protect. Yeah, and that's kind of the downside for running the sand or going for the Sandsear Storm immediately without the rain. Let's see, what are they going to go for? Water Spout. I mean, the thing is, I would have got a free switch to Koraidon, and the free switch to Koraidon would have been decent here, but they go for Water Spout and Play Rough, I'm assuming. Behemoth Blade, okay. Into the Patchy slot, interesting. I thought they were going to Play Rough to cover for the Koraidon. My best play is just to go Koraidon here and go for Follow Me. Yes. That is the best play because we reduce the damage of like the Water Spout. We get to stall out these turns correctly. Let's see what they decide to go for, especially if they go for Behemoth Blade again. It works out amazingly for me. We do get the Follow Me off. They go for Water Spout. Yeah, Patchy takes it. Koraidon takes it. They do go for Play Rough this time. It KOs Patchy. All right, so not the best, but not the worst. I do want to go POW here. It's still an interesting game, to say the least. I think we go for Sucker Punch into the Kyogre. The question is, do we protect Koraidon or do we go on the offense? Because they could double my Chien Pao. Plus our Tailwind. Still think it's better to go for Sucker and protect. Oh, they protect Zacian, which is interesting. Because the thing is, they were pinning my Terra because Water Spout would still do a lot of damage, but now I think I'm in a guaranteed spot because I get 2 Sucker Punches off into Kyogre. Yeah, I get 2 Sucker Punches off into Kyogre. I know that this is Choice Scarf. We also saw the interaction earlier. Water Spout's going to do nothing. And now we go for a Airfire Flare Blitz and a Sucker Punch. I think for them, they had to get the call right of who to target. I think they couldn't really waste the turns. I think they had to go on the offense there. But because they protected, they lost both worlds. I think they had to go for a target. I think even if they did, I still got good damage off. Sword of Ruins out the field, so Zacian's doing less damage. And then Kyogre at under 50%. I think it just comes down to those Water Spout plus an attack KO, because otherwise Astral Barrage will clean up plus the Flare Blitz. So I think it really just came down to that. But yeah, Sucker Punch will come out in the Kyogre. It actually two-shots this time. I think when I first played this, it was like a little under 50%, but luckily looks like I got a little rolled that time. They go for Play Rough, but the Play Rough miss doesn't even matter at this point because it was definitely not KOing Miraidon even for crit. And now I get the Terrifier Flare Blitz off and KO the Zacian. So that will be that. So obviously got a bit lucky with the Patchy, but I mean, I could have also had to free switch to Kyogre or into Miraidon and probably still had a pretty decent advantage. And that's also just a risk of Sandsear Storm. I think the idea, like, again, for them, they had to target correctly instead of protecting, because protect was a lose in both worlds. Maybe they were hoping that I go for Terrifier and then they can get like a Water Spout off into another Water Spout. But the thing is, like, if you leave POW open like that, for me to get 2 Sucker Punches is just pretty bad. So yeah, did not work out for them. Miraidon, Terapagos, Incineroar, Sinistra with Iron Treads and Urshifu. This is the team Francesco Pero used to get top 8 at NIC, Bologna Regionals, and more. Let's see. What do I want to go here? I'm bringing Miraidon. Am I bringing Chestnut? Chestnut seems kind of mid in this. The only problem is the Draco Meteor. The Draco Meteor is the annoying part. Also, like, I don't think Calyx is that good in this matchup, because it's usually a Solvest Miraidon, and if it's a Solvest Miraidon, it's hard to break through with this. It might just be like Chien-Pao plus Chestnut. I think Chien-Pao plus Chestnut makes a lot of sense. I bring Incin. Incin's okay, but it doesn't really do that much. I think it's Chien-Pao, Chestnut. In the back, Miraidon and Patchy. I want to try it out. I think Patchy can work because of the fact that it can slow down the Miraidon quite a bit. I think our goal is to either eliminate the Terapagos as early as possible, or we can get rid of the partners around it. We'll see. It's going to be the Miraidon and Terapagos lead, okay? I'm just going to Ice Spinner and Body Press? Yeah. I think I just double up the Miraidon slot this turn. I can target on the Pagos whenever, because I also don't need to set up the Chestnut to win the game, because I do have... Well, the thing is, it's Rocky Helmet on the Incin, right? Which is annoying for Sash. But I still think I have to take it regardless. I'm just going to Ice Spinner and I'm going to Body Press. They'll KO the Incin regardless, so that's at least positive. They are going to reach to Miraidon. This is probably Incin. Maybe they go on a Sinistra, which is fine too. Incin, yep, that makes sense. Is this protect from the Terapagos, or are they just going for the Calm Mind immediately? Nice. So I punish a passive play. That's good. That's good. That's a good start. That's a good start. Although this is Helmet, it's kind of annoying having my Sash broken, as I mentioned before, but it should still be fine. Yeah. Gets rid of the electric terrain, Body Press. Ooh, it doesn't KO the Incin. All right. Was the Incin in range of another Ice Spinner? Because I would Ice Spinner to cover for a switch, right? I'm like pretty confident it is. But they can't protect. I do need to break the... Breaking Terra Shell and Terapagos now doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I Ice Spinner and I go for our Iron Defense. They fake out the POW, which is interesting. I'm okay with POW getting faked out. Are they Starstorming or are they just Calm Mind? Yeah, they have to Calm Mind. Interesting. As we do get an Iron Defense set up, so this is kind of nice. All right, again, it's kind of a read base, but I think I'm still going to Ice Spinner and I'm going to go for Body Press. Right down to Terapagos. I think he would take the knockout now with Terapagos, but it's a gamble, right? Because if I go for a double into Pagos, they would lose to Pagos potentially and just lose the game. But they do risk it, but they do go for probably Starstorm and a Chien Pao. I do wish I went for the double up, but I mean, I don't think it's terrible. You go for Starstorm. You knock out Pao. All right. Because I can bring in Patchy, and Patchy's in a good spot. This Body Press should still do a decent amount of damage. That did nothing. It is +1 defense, I suppose. All right, we got to go Patchy here. Because I am not taking the Dracos. I am not taking the Dracos. Wow. Miraidon comes in. Are you gonna Draco? I feel like I could see a switch to Sinistra. I think I'm gonna Super Fang and Body Press. I see a Sinistra incoming. But let's see if I'm right. Because I could be completely wrong. I think Sinistra for the Terra Shell and just going for the Starstorm makes so much sense. Oh, this is bad. They just drop a Draco Meteor and a Chestnut. it doesn't KO, but yeah, we're in a bad spot. We're in a bad spot. If I double up the Miraidon, would have been better. Okay. Is this cooked? No, there's possibilities. I don't know. Yeah, they're gonna Terra. Okay, perfect. Again, we have set up for Miraidon in a decent position, but we'll see because it's very spooky. They did just get rid of the electric terrain for now, which is nice. I have potential here. We wide guard to prevent. Well, this could be Earth Power, but I'm not 100% certain. You go for Draco to knock out the Chestnut. Okay. I think they went for Draco Me or Starstorm to cover for Follow Me. But let's see. Super Fang. Nice. Okay. All right. All right. All right. We have an out. We have an out. We have an out. Although I think it's still really tough. It's manageable though. I'm gonna Super Fang and I'm gonna Flame Charge. They should always swap out the Miraidon and the Sinistra. Ah, this is just a tough one here. Yep. This is Sinistra. Yep. This is Protect. It might not have to be Protect. That's a problem. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I get the Flame Charge off, which is massive. We're fanging to Protect. All right, we have outs. We have outs. I have to get the read right of Sinistra. I feel like if you're my opponent, you should always Rage Powder here. I feel like you always play it safe with Terapagos. I think you Starstorm and you Rage Powder. If they attack the Patchy with Earth Power to play with Protect, but I feel like you Starstorm because I think you want the damage in Miraidon. Okay. I have a feeling I'm gonna regret this, and I should have protected the Patchy. All right, we get rid of the Sinistra. If this is Starstorm, we're in a great spot. He said, okay. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Not over, but we're in a heck of a good spot. Because now I can go for Terra Fairy, Follow Me, and Super Fang. Or not. What did I just say? No. I can Terra Fairy, so I avoid Draco Meteor. And I can Collision Course the Galapagos. Because this usually runs Assault Vest Miraidon, so they shouldn't have Gleam. And if they have Gleam, I'm just screwed. I'm going to be real. But if it's the exact same, we get to Terra Fairy to Pachirisu. We'll be able to redirect the Miraidon attacks from my Miraidon and should be able to seal this up. If they protect Galapagos, it doesn't change much. We follow me. Collision Course goes into the Galapagos. Nice. Nice. Now we do the same thing. We do the same process. Collision Course, follow me. You go for the double, fail it. Beautiful. And Pachirisu is here to just do whatever. I think they probably have Snarl, but I don't think Snarl is going to be able to do enough damage in time. So Collision Course will come out at Galapagos, pick up the knockout. I thought this was cooked. I really thought this was cooked. I got like a few turns right. Because if they Earth Power, I have to protect that one turn. But I got it right. I did get it right. Because I thought they wanted to damage into Miraidon. Yeah, the Snarl's not doing enough damage. Perfect. Now we go for Follow Me and we go for Collision Course. Then we can go for Helping Hand Collision Course. And I think that will seal it. Ooh, boy. Pachirisu. Pachirisu, baby. Collision Course coming out into the Miraidon once again. Oh, that did way more than I thought. I think Helping Hand would have KO'd. Snarl? Yeah, it doesn't do anything. I guess I'll just Follow Me and do I want to Follow Me or do I want a Collision Course? We know it's not Scar, so I always outspeed. Yeah, now I'm just clicking Helping Hand Collision Course. They can't Terra. Yeah, the game's over. Oh, all right. That one was a tough one. That was a tough one. Always having to play around. I mean, it was great that we had double fighting. We got a few turns wrong. There was like an opportunity for me to get the KO onto Galapagos early with Ice Spinner plus Body Press, but I didn't take that opportunity, even though I had a feeling that they were targeting the Qian Power with the Starstorm immediately. I didn't take the opportunity. However, the fact that I was able to come back in the game was actually kind of a miracle. Like getting the place right against the Galapagos was the huge one because I really needed that Super Fang damage. I needed to redirect the Miraidon. And thankfully, I just timed it right. I got every call perfectly because, again, between Super Fang and Protect on the Galapagos turn of whether they Starstorm or they Earth Power was just a massive one. And I got it right because I had a feeling they were going to target the Miraidon. All right, let's go over the games. In games 1, 2, and 3, we faced Miraidon Lunala, and the first time it was the Calm Mind Lunala, a bit easier since I didn't have to deal with Wide Guard. But games 2 and 3, we faced a team that was able to win the North American International Championship and get second place at Japan Nats that featured the Wide Guard Lunala with the Terra Fairy. And let me just say, Miraidon plus Lunala matchup for this team. You do have to make some pretty hard reads, especially because Lunala with the Terra Fairy, it's really hard to remove immediately. So it can threaten a ton of damage, especially threatening the knockdown the Shadow Rider forcing the Terra, which means you can't really Terra safely with the Pachirisu against the Draco Meteor from Miraidon. Yeah, you have to get a bunch of calls right. You can lose to Ursaluna very easily with the build under Trick Room, especially next to Lunala. So yeah, it is a very difficult one. I did make some risks. Some of them worked out great. Some of them did not work out so great. But overall, I think I did have enough risks and won enough of those reads where I was able to come out on top barely. In game 4, I don't think this was a bad one here, but a lot of it did, I think, come down to me being able to KO the Incineroar with the Helping Hand Draining Kiss, but I think I really needed it. Otherwise, maybe it wasn't the wisest idea to protect the Chien Pao. Maybe I should have just gone hard into my Koraidon, but I really wasn't sure what kind of Volcarona set this was, what kind of Terapagos it was, so I did play it a bit safe. And that kind of costed me because I couldn't get in my Koraidon for free. I had to take damage across the board with the first Star Storm, and then just missing the knockout Incineroar just really hurt. Sure, maybe I could have went for the Terra Fairy for the Draining Kiss because that would have ensured a knockout. But the problem was then I get hit by a super effective Star Storm, and then I have to play a mind game against the Volcarona, whether it protects or not, and then go for Collision Core Sacred Sword, double up into the Pagos, calling to protect, or go for protect and Flare Blitz. I still lose Koraidon, and then I have to hope Sacred Sword is going to be able to enough to two-shot the Terapagos. And the problem with that is I don't have Stellar Terra on the Chien Pao. Even though I'm not intimidated, I still doubt that the Sacred Sword was actually going to two-shot the Terapagos. I'm not sure if I had like a super solid safe plan. I think I had to just go aggressive on the first couple turns, and it just didn't work out. In game 5, this is actually a rematch from one of my test games while trying out the team initially, and let me just say it did feature some Icy Wind action with the Scarf Kyogre, and they kind of did the same thing on the lead wise, which I wasn't sure if they were going to. I did get a lucky Sandsear dodge, but of course that is the risk of using Sandsear, and then I was able to position nicely against the Zacian and the Kyogre endgame, even though it was a little bit awkward. In game 6, another Terapagos matchup, and let me just say there were a few turns where I did get the call wrong. Some turns I did get right where I was able to call to protect. In other cases the Terapagos was on the offense. I think if I just capitalized on them going for the Star Storm and the Chien Pao and actually doubling the Terapagos, I think it would have been a pretty solid win for the most part. However, I did not take advantage of that and was down pretty far behind until I started making some crazy reads in order to come back, and I was able to get all of them right to make the comeback. So how was the team? Overall, the team was very interesting. It did have, like, of course, the nasty plot Shadow Rider, and the Draining Kiss was actually a very big help in a lot of cases. I think the Fairy Terror is just really cool, especially just because of the fact that it's able to hit the dark type Alex Shadow Rider, which is of course very helpful. And Pachirisu was able to put in a lot of work actually with the ability to do well against the Miraidon matchup, especially the one game where we won because it just walled it. But otherwise it was just a little bit difficult because of course it's not a Pokemon that can stick around on the field, mainly because of its defenses not being exactly the best, and it did go down pretty early in a few cases. However, it was able just to do the work that it needs to do, pressure the Miraidons both in team preview and in the actual game because they had to be hesitant on clicking the electric type move, and it really did work out. So if you would like to check out the details of this recreation, it'll be down below in the description, but I highly recommend if you want to know more about this team, maybe get the rental code as well as the report, go check out Paul Rees and his Metafy class. I'll link it down below in the description, and of course subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.